it's at this point in time, it's easier to create more storylines with women's college basketball than it is the WNBA, which is why you get more of that turnout. You get more people watching those games. And because that's the case, that's why women's college basketball is going to get more of the prime time slots. Not to mention there's more teams, so you get more opportunity for more games. But that's why women's college basketball always generate more money than the WNBA. And when it comes down to it, quite frankly, people just want to watch women's college basketball. People aren't tuning into the WNBA. That doesn't mean there's no talent in the WNBA, but it's a business, and if you're not generating revenue, not generating turnout, then you're not going to get those primetime slots. You heard me say I'm a proponent. I think this is the most talent that's ever been in women's basketball as a whole. I think that the game is in a beautiful space right now, but I understand the business side of it, that if you can't generate money and you can't get people tuned into the games, then you're not going to get those primetime slots. And that's all it comes down to. But I want to talk about this matchup between Iowa and Virginia Tech. And as we talked about in the previous segment, listen, this was a neutral site game for both parties, and it was in a sold out arena in Charlotte. I believe that the Nielsen rating and the turnout for the game ended up being 4 million for a Thursday night game on ESPN2, which is phenomenal numbers, by the way. And it is a November game, so it's just phenomenal to see those numbers, like I said, for a November game. But looking at the actual basketball of it, what I saw from this game is that Iowa is still pretty much the same team as last year, with Caitlin Clark obviously being the primary focal point of that offense. It looks as if the returners outside of Caitlin Clark for Iowa have improved, though, especially from the shooting ability, particularly being Marshall, who did go over 6 last on that game. But Martin, who came off the bench last year but actually started this game for for Iowa, chipped in 10 points, 4 and 9 from the field. She has improved tremendously with her playmaking abilities. So having her in the backcourt with Clark will be tremendous, or a huge help for her. Stolke had 12 points and 4 rebounds. So it's like I'm saying, so it's pretty much the same team as last year for Iowa. Caitlin Clark looks like she has improved. She took another step to her game. If we look at it, she didn't shoot particularly well from the 3-point line. She shot 5 of 16. It is volume shooting. She shot 13 of 31. So she didn't shoot particularly well from the field, but because she shoots in volume and she gets to the free throw line so efficiently, she shot 17 free throws. She was able to get in, put in 44 points. But if you look at it, that's over half. She's just over half of the points for Iowa. So, and that's with Virginia Tech doubling off of ball screens and doubling outright towards the end of the game. Clark was still able to get those numbers. So, something we talk about in our coaches meetings when I was coaching is that at the high school and collegiate level, you can say, okay, we're gonna let you score 50, we're gonna let you score 44, whatever, but we're not gonna let the role players beat us, because we don't think you scoring 44 is going to be enough for you to beat us. So we'll let you go off for 44, 45, 47, whatever. But we're not going to let the role players beat us. And that was normally our thought process when we play teams that had guys that were averaging 27, 28 points per game. And that works in college and at the high school level. But once you start getting to the professional level, men's and women's, you can't do that anymore, because guys and girls are so talented, where that 40, that 35 will be enough to beat you just off of impact alone. So, this is the first time that I've seen where I've genuinely thought to myself, all right, I don't know if we should let Caitlin Clark score 44, because just off her impact is starting to become that of a professional on the WNBA level, where you say, okay, yeah, we can't let her score 44 because the impact is just too great. But every other player I've seen, I've been confident saying, listen, we'll let you score 44 because that's not going to be enough to beat us. But now I'm starting to question that that sort of game plan, that sort of approach for Caitlin Clark in Iowa. But also we have to take into account that, listen, Virginia Tech shot 38% from the field. Caitlin only has 16 points, which is 4 points below her average. Georgia Amor did score 31 points. She shot 10 to 23 from the field. But maybe this is more just a revelation that Virginia Tech, there are just how there's levels within any sport. There's levels within women's college basketball, and yes, if you ask me, Virginia Tech is a top 5 team in the country. But are they on the level of South Carolina? No. Are they on the level of Iowa? No. Are they on the level of LSU? That's questionable. I would debate that. I would say yes, they are. But yeah, I think part of this is that Virginia Tech just had a bad shooting night as well. But they're going to need help. Something they struggle with is just their lack of athleticism, particularly on the defensive end. This was the issue they had last year. They're just not very athletic on the wings. They have a little bit of size on the low post, but Virginia Tech just doesn't have a lot of athleticism, so they don't get a chance to impose their will on the defensive end. They get out and run a lot, but once teams start to get physical with them, that's when they start to struggle. And that's something that Iowa did. They started to get physical with Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech didn't do a good job of utilizing the height advantage they have, because, like I said, they have height advantage, but they're not necessarily that physical. And when they play more physical teams, they'll struggle. And that's something that Virginia Tech will need to improve on as the season progresses. But as of right now, they're not on the level of a South Carolina, of an Iowa. But I think they're right there with like the LSUs and the UConns. They're right there in that sort of area. But let me know what you guys think. Was this a great game by Iowa? More so bad game for Virginia Tech? What do you guys think about Caitlin Clark? Is she the best player in women's college basketball history? I won't go that far, but let me know what you guys think in the chat room. I'd love to hear all about it. In our next segment, guys, we are going to be discussing the state of affairs that is the Los Angeles Clippers and whether or not they made the right decision in trading for James Harden. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back.